everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lifting. Today's episode is being recorded on 5/2/25. This is another Q&A, folks. We just keep them rolling and rolling along here. So before we get to anything, this is where I now open this circle to true benevolence with no conflicting agendas of this moment in time. So, Joanna?
We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love you, let them nourish you, and let them bring you to your highest good. We ask for benevolence now with no conflicting agenda to come in to support this conversation today. And we ask for mischievous beings to be swept away and malevolent beings to be swept away right now so that we may have this conversation in peace. And with that, and with great blessings that we always send your way, we say, so be it.
And so be it. So, this is now where we go into the affirmation and blessing, and this is an interesting one. To the stars, we seek ourselves, a reflection of our soul, our innermost longing to go home, to be with the self that existed so very long ago. It exists now, always in the moment. The now is our path. Each other is our strength. Channeling a producer, director, writer, and creator of Star Trek, Andromeda, and Earth Final Conflict, Gene Roddenberry. So I thought that was an interesting one. So the first question I got from a screenshot from Facebook. I'm not going to say who posted it, of course, but this you can read this portion up here.
Okay. Does anyone else experience a ridiculous connection to their living space to the point that if there is something wrong with the house, my body will come out in sympathy with my house? Something wrong with the plumbing, waterworks issue, get it fixed, body gets better. Electrical issue, nerve issue, fix the wires, nerves feel better. P.S.
No, there is no P.S.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought it was PS.
Yes. It just says abbreviation for fuck this shit. So, and it says, sometimes I wish I was not so amazingly connected to everything. It is great for body talk, but sometimes not so much. And there was somebody that actually left a comment that was actually part of the answer to this question. So I'm going to put it in here and then I'll put our part. A house has a spirit and an elemental presence. The appliances that operate in that house have a machine consciousness that both gives and communicates with us. So what you're saying is not so far-fetched at all, and I have experienced it as well. Okay, I can see where, since like what we say is everything's all one. So yeah, okay, well, I'll give you this one. And also, you got the whole Shining thing going on, and you have the consciousness of the hotel that's in the movies, in both The Shining and Dr. Sleep. Yeah, okay. Different buildings can have a consciousness here. I'll move that down here. Okay. Elena here to say yes to this. Wholeheartedly, a house does indeed have a consciousness, like in your movie, The Shining, where the imprint of the hotel causes murder and mayhem. Hey, wink. A house can either be sick or be healthy. Therefore, if you are sick or healthy, the house also can reflect these states of being in tandem, causing energetic chaos throughout the house. Ever hear of the term, this house is killing me? Or the house is killing me? This is where this comes from. Your very own home, rental or not, if it is not kept energetically healthy, can stifle your own nervous system health, circulatory health, mental health, and even financial health. This is why the one asking the question noticed her nervous system changing with the electrical system, as well as plumbing issues with the house, causing, well, you get it, right, Elena? Okay, yeah. I put a little notation here saying, talking about the rental property we're on. I have had to, since we moved in, get rid of every like nano code that was on this property that was of the owner and the previous owners of it since the 60s. And I'll make this brief. There were all types of people that were here since the mid 60s when this house was built. And every one of them left an imprint. There was some abusive situations that went on, and there were some stagnant situations that went on, and then some of them weren't so bad. Where you could tell. But every person's footprint left an echo. Every person that ever said a single word in this house, did a single action or committed to a single action in this house, good, bad, ugly, all in between, was here. Layers upon layers upon layers. So I had to literally scrape those layers loose like cheese at the bottom of an oven or a microwave. So like you're scraping at burnt cheese. That's how that was. And in the movie The Shining, of course, they talked about the imprints of land actually hurting Jack Nicholson's character, and also all the ghosts that were of different periods as well. That happens to be true. I encountered this in Lincoln on Hartley Street, whereas the Hartley Street house, originally what stood there was a small church with a little pastor that owned this, and I was wondering why there were so many hauntings on that property. The backyard used to be a graveyard, not necessarily cemetery. Cemetery standalone. This was a graveyard adjacent to a small abbey-like church or chapel. And my grandfather, when he redid the backyard, dug up all these what he thought were pieces of concrete. They were all in rows. Those were headstones. So you can talk about haunted property. So I will leave it at that part. So we'll go on to the next one.
Why is it unadvisable to do Archangel Michael and Jesus channelings?
Yeah, this one, this is for me was a no-brainer, but I'm glad Isaac did this short, sweet, and to the point amalgamation for this. This was great. So, dumbass, I will make this short, sweet, and to the point. It is a bad thing because of the fact that Michael, aka the Brat, is not, and I repeat, not the most stable being in the cosmos. That, and coupled with the Jesus persona and the top name used, Enlil. Loki here has tricked the world, Lucifer style, into believing that the world must indeed not only love him, but forsake all false gods before him. Wrong way, no way, Yahweh. Get it? Got it? Good. And then he winks, and then P.S. Also, channeling him at fairs and public open channel forums is inadvisable because he tags all people and vendors that show up to them. Revoke and worship not ever anything, meaning don't worship anything is what he was trying to say. Next question. All right. That's sound advice. If you are running a fair and or convention and or conference, don't have any Michael or Jesus channelers there, period. So, next.
Or if you happen to be listing one and you didn't know it was going to happen, make sure you revoke it.
Yes, and that too, yes. Okay.
So, who invented or created the creatures known as the plant demons?
Okay, this was actually interesting because this was a different answer than what we knew it to be from years ago. So this was a complete correction to the entire thing. So, Isaac here, everyone, with an answer. This one vastly differs from the information that he here thinks that he knows about these creatures. Yes, they are. Are they vampiric and sporous in nature? Yes. And do they recreate themselves as clones of the previous generation, then grow multiple heads? Yes. And are they repelled by tar water or even just unrefined or refined pine pitch? Yes. Do they live in the sewers, like in Mario Brothers? They used to until people began to shit out supplements and resin residues, both pine pitch like and wax like. Now, as to their origins, who made them? This will not only take a second to say, and in a few words as possible. Their origin is not, and I repeat, not alien. It is from primordial Earth, roughly the Jurassic and or Cretaceous periods respectively. Some spider-like ETs, i.e. the Blair Witch spider, aka the Hippomilchus, are of ancient Earth as well. Pine trees did not exist in its original time frame, so as such, it has an extreme allergy to pine pitch. Pine trees were terraformed after it went extinct. when in fact the Orions kept a few in cold storage for later use, as did the Anunnaki. This is why they popped up later on in history, and as such, humans and Tuatha Elfkind found a workaround to defeat them, even going so far as to drink the pine pitch itself. It would I wouldn't go that far. It acts more like ipecac at high dosages. This is all I know on this subject. What these beings are, if you want to, I'll do a brief refresher. They've been disclosed in multiple medieval fantasy type games like Kings of Amalur, The Elder Scrolls, Mario Brothers, also in that respect with them coming out of the sewers, Little Shop of Horrors, things like that. The Venus flytrap ones. These demons have like this football shaped head, or multiple heads. They can grow really big, and they have these little elemental handlers that look like, I call them evil Oompa Loompas. They have green skin and this moss-covered hair, kind of like those sloths that have the moss in the fur. It's kind of like that. They're kind of almost like Oompa Loompas and sloths put together, sort of. And what they do are the handlers for these things, and they put them in neighborhoods in a different frequency. And these are essentially vampiric demons. They want food and sustenance, so they grab it out of whatever they can. They're from a period of Earth that no longer exists, and they're being taken, and their seeds and spores are being taken out of cold storage. On top of that, they have a radioactive nature to it, I believe, was added there by the Orions, since the Orions introduced radioactivity and nuclear power to humanity, which via Einstein and Oppenheimer. But in this through channeling, I believe that's where they got the idea from. That comes from multiple dimensions. So does nuclear power. With these guys, though, the spores they leave behind, if you don't get every little piece, you're going to get them growing again like weeds. Tar water, layers of it. Get rid of it. And colloidal silver mixed in will do it as well. So will beeswax and frankincense and myrrh. But the top one is tar water and colloidal silver. Those two are the top ones to get rid of the plant demons. They will get into your core and screw you up royally. Pine trees, you think, would repel them, but they work around them. They just don't like it when a branch is cut off and the stuff's bleeding out the side, the pine pitch. They will move as far away from that as possible. It's like one of us getting near something that's we have a severe allergy to, like if somebody has a seafood allergy or a bee venom allergy or snake venom, they're dying of snake venom or snake poisoning, that kind of thing. So they're terrified of it. So, okay, I will just move on.
Who were the true identities of the beings? Kinowe, Cameron, Ophelia, and Zargna.
Zargna. And Cameron also / Kazazan, I found out that was also one of his names. This went into a little bit of personal stuff. I just wanted to throw this one in there because I felt this also had a public, this had to be explored at least a little bit. And so this is one I added, obviously. So, Isaac here again. This answer will shock Chris here, aka dumbass dipshit. Of course, he does that on a regular, constant basis, just for public consumption there. I will start with the first one. Kinowe. He was a good being, but could not be around all of the negativity back in the time of back in 2017 and 18. This I will sum it up because we had a lot of harassment around those times. That some of it of which hasn't come back. So he left. No insult to you guys intended. Next, I will go with the great and powerful Zargna. He still resides in Japan with the skull that you guys saw him in Megaru. Samuel is fine as well, alongside Aubrey and Mariah. I gave them a selenite skull that he was an elemental dragon type. And Samuel's perfectly fine. I was in Nebraska and I saw him there. He's perfectly fine. Ophelia has died, and she was the one in the rose quartz skull, and is now in the spirit world. Balzer and Giuleppe, those were the ones in the dragon skulls back then, have also passed away, as has the dirty little fae that you had in the dust-covered citrine skull. We had back when we were in Knightdale, North Carolina, we had a little citrine skull that had a little like fae or like a being in it. I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but he liked being dirty, like in the dirt. He was some kind of earth fae. So anytime we tried to clean the skull, he'd bitch at us. I just remembered that. So, okay. Fabio, aka Feruz, is gone, never to return. Obviously, that was a bad being then if he's like that. Okay, now to the worst one yet, Cameron. He has had a long dramatic pause in there, has never left you. So he claimed. I have yet to find this, by the way, but I'm going on his word. He still hangs around you guys to this very day. He resides in a crystal in your home and has since you found his skull and has since you found his skull edifice in Santa Rosa, California, all of those years ago. Yes, this was a clear, not a clear quartz, but a smoky quartz. When we actually left it up on Thumb Butte because it got infected. We had to also send Isaac's original one to a haunted museum in Vegas. And Isaac will only use something we've made. And I only use things we make, by the way. He is the one that hates you so very, very much. And I hear that voice sometimes. It's not often now. He is the reason you struggle, and he is that same familiar nasty voice you heard on the Spirit Box. And yes, I did, from the Spirit Box session from Bacon's Castle. If you go on to that episode, you are going to actually hear that creepy voice on there, that shrill "I hate you" on there. So he will be dealt with now that you know of his presence, which more than likely was done. That's why I haven't seen him. So the reason I am having him, meaning Dumbass here, make this revelation for public consumption is this. All of you have a Cameron in your home. Well, not all of you. That would be creepy, as well as asinine to say such a thing. To have a Cameron means you have a spy residing within your home, either within tech/implant/photonic form or in entity form. But here is the catch that makes a Cameron different than all of the rest of any other type of entity/demonic intrusion/intruder. This one is usually found inside an object and or valuable, usually a crystal, skull, or otherwise, or even a vase. This is all that I know on this subject. Next question, dumbass. So he, he was, if anybody listened to our stuff, and I'm going to add one addendum to this because there was a particular reason that this came up that I have not mentioned. There was a weird dream that came up where I was on a beach and I was able to walk on top of the water, like kind of like glide over the water. And I was building an orgone piece inside of this silver pyramid that had these bolts, the type of molds that you bolt together, one of those wing nut types that have like a rubber or silicone like caulking in the center of them, and filling it up to where it's the flat pyramid top, where then you can insert a crystal or what have you. I was filling that up, and all of a sudden the resin poured out and then leaked out over this little island I had it on, both of sand and of dirt and concrete. Leaked out and it ran into the water. And then all of a sudden it started to coalesce and poison the water, and all these fish jumped up out of it and died. And this weird cloud came out of this pucy, like a pea green cloud came out of there. And this thing coalesced, and it was more like a weird, creepy, like vampiric cloud, like in Star Trek. The Obsession was the name of the old episode with the vampire cloud. It kind of reminded me of that. And I wake up, and I remember Cameron used to tell us that he was a fish being at one point, and that he was kind of pusey green blue color, and at that time, like kind of like a glow greenish, maybe, like more like pea soup. And yes, Isaac, baby vomit green, I understand. But with this, he also, I remember, wanted an edifice at the time was of a silver, like a silver dish. It was also sitting on a rotating silver dish and in this silvery pyramid. But I remember him stating at that time he wanted an edifice that looked like that. And also, we've had some bouts with the Lancaneers lately. And our friend Richie said, as of today, the time of this recording, they were attempting to try to put some pusey green type of gas around the place to surround it. So I believe there's a connection to that, or it was a coincidence they were using the same color type of thing that they happen to have. But They didn't get too far with that. Both of us, let's stop them from doing it. But just to say that I like him calling the entity a Cameron, meaning making it a general term for that type of intrusion. I actually kind of like that. So, no offense to anybody named Cameron. I know we've had Debbie Downer and stuff like that on here, but no offense to anybody named Cameron, but or Karen for that matter. But yeah, here we go. So we'll go on to the next one now.
What is empathic transference?
Okay. It is where one can take on the ailments of a ghost that is either still residing in a home, workplace, or other property, cemetery/graveyard, or when one enters a structure and or property with the name of the person who died of said ailment on it and or associated with said property in some way, shape, or form. Other living humans can imprint their very own ailment onto others. And the reference that I wanted to make to this, one of them anyway, is the lifting episode number 250, a look at the history of Bacon's Castle. And as I said in that episode, and I'm not going to completely reinvent the wheel because I said this there too. You can just go take a look at this. Where we entered onto the property of Bacon's Castle, I had enormous stomach pains going on there. We had to leave and then find a bathroom, came back, and at that same time, I came to find out, much actually later on, that he died of typhus and dysentery. And that's a very painful gastrointestinal nightmare of a death. So he basically shit himself to death, as Isaac said in that episode. So, and he's laughing the fact that I repeated that. But anyway, but yeah, go and look at that. That was a very, very potent case of empathic transference. There was also another well-known or slightly well-known case where there was a man that committed murder-suicide. He killed his child and then committed suicide off of a hotel. And then another person went to stay in the same room, went through the same kind of schizoid behavior as the guy that did that. He even yelled at his wife saying he wanted a divorce, all this other stuff, and then he almost killed his own son. Doing that, but then he didn't know why he did it. It was the imprint from the person who did that, and chances are there was an imprint from earlier that nobody knew about. These things tend to be generational until they're audited and cleaned up.
And this is the reason why we do not recommend that you make friends with a ghost and let them be there with you.
No, I don't care how nice they are. It has nothing to do with nasty or nice. And of course, you don't want nasty around, of course. We don't recommend that or negativity. But I've heard people say, well, this person's so nice. And then all of a sudden they're getting these health conditions. They don't know why. Their finances are drying up. Their abundance is drying up. They're going, I just don't know what happened. You have a ghost in your house. Well, don't remove them. They're nice. You're suffering because this, you don't even recognize it. So I remove them every time without fail, each and every single time. Regardless of whether the homeowner wants them there or not.
And regardless of whether the ghost doesn't oftentimes know that this is happening either, because a ghost is really just a stage above dying. They're not at a place to have bigger levels of knowledge.
Yeah, they won't. So, they wouldn't know some of the time either.
Yeah,
the ones that do are usually coupled with entities and crap like that. So yeah, you a regular garden variety away from all the mutated stuff like you see in Ghostbusters and Frozen Empire and all that other stuff. Away from all that, if they're just a plain Joe Blow ghost, no, they're not going to know any of that.
They're not going to know that they're doing that.
So next.
Are you aware through your communication of whether the Yowies in Australia are a group who don't mind the idea of communicating with us, or do they prefer to be left alone?
Okay, this one is from Telnorskus. Okay, Telnorskus here, my dear, to tell you, yes, they do indeed want communication, but not all. The same goes with North America and the rest of the world. Most of my kind do worldwide. Some prefer to be left alone. You must use ultimate discernment if you wish to know which is which. Goodbye for now. Wink till Norskus. So that is actually true of all the forest people everywhere. Some of the ones by Yorktown that we encountered, they wanted very little communication. They respected enough to, say hello, goodbye, and they didn't want me using the ghost box. None of them do. They hate that device. They say it brings in their enemies, so they don't want it. And on very rare occasion, you might get them on there, just like with communicating with them, screaming in the woods. They don't like that. And don't go past any of their barriers, the X's and the bent trees. All of this. Use discernment. Also, if you feel like you're not supposed to be in a spot where forest people are, just go. Even if you spend all day getting to that spot, if they don't want you there, they will let you know. If they want to communicate, they will also let you know. If they leave footprints, that's for you to find. If they leave gifts, that's for you to find. That was their gift. Footprint, hair, all of it. That was for you to find. You're not just finding evidence. You're being gifted that opportunity. It's a gift, not, not an obligation for them to do it. Okay, I will go on to the next.
Do the elites eat mermaids? If so, please elaborate. That is gross, by the way, and hard to think any human would eat it.
Yes, this is extremely gross, actually. Incidentally enough, there was a sci-fi reference for this as well. So Isaac here to say yes. Isaac here and yes, they do. It is way gross for one, and secondly, the military do hunt and capture mer people for the elites to eat. Not often, but they do. But the elites set up a hunt, very much like the British had the fox hunt. But like the fox hunt, this is soon to end. Fortunately enough for all sides involved. Next question: What he's meaning is, yeah, it's set up exactly like the fox hunt. And I did have a dream at one point where there was this mer person captured in a weird electrical net, and they pulled this mer person out and hauled it off in a van of some kind. So I didn't know what I was looking at the time, and then I now know what this is. But the disclosure in the media referenced Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda. There was an elitist, a Kabbalist type that was in there talking to the character named Tyr Anastasi. And this one guy's sitting there eating lunch, and he's going, have you ever tried Than? And Than in it are an insectoid race, a sentient insectoid race. And this guy's eating some of it in tears. As much as he was doing something despicable himself, he's looking at it going, no, I just stole crap. No, this is disgusting. No, that's the reference you're going to see. It's towards the end of the series, middle end of the series. I don't know which season it is, though. So, surprisingly not. So, next one.
What do the forest people do for fun? Do you guys have gatherings where you play games or something? Do you guys grow food?
Okay, this is actually interesting. This is from a new forest person that this friend of ours captured a picture of named Dugan, and I will see if I am allowed to add the picture to this of Dugan. She got a picture of him up on top of a waterfall. So Dugan here to say yes, we do have gatherings for fun or for larger moots, or in your language, council meetings. With that said, we also play games with our children similar to that of horseshoes or ring toss, or to a lesser extent, cornhole. Shush, Isaac, hee, and then wink. Of course, people will just have to use their imagination as to what Isaac was talking about. That too, haha, and wink. But on a serious note, we have fun, we play, we laugh, we learn, and we grow our own food in small underground farms called coves, or in your vernacular, shelves. Whereas we grow the food in small shelf-like areas underground near lit-up quartz crystal deposits. Since light as well as energy passes easily through such deposits, it makes farming much, much easier. Also, with these deposits, I am now communicating with him here, at least at the time of this channeling occurring. Next question. I also communicated with a forest person that said he was out of Montana. At one time, he said his name was Kavaki, and he said he was in a cave system where there were big deposits of quartz sprinkled all throughout the rock strata, and light was coming through like starlight or like moonlight. And he was using that to communicate that way. There are species that also use psionic enhancers, also negative ones do. Draco, I've seen them with little crystal-like unicorn thing, like spikes on their head. And some of them are the more technologic advanced ones. That's how they talk. Some forest people or Anakam lines will use this, and some Agarthan races will use this. These are throwback technologies from the Lemurian Atlantean period. And I've even seen dogmen using them. Sometimes you don't know, they don't know how to build one, but they know how to use it. It's like, you know how to use your cell phone, but do you know how to build one? Some of that knowledge has been forgotten to some of those groups. Some of the Agarthan groups, as the forest people would have said before, not all of them are still there. You would see all these empty ancient chambers with some people occupying ancient places, like the Martian Germans on Mars do with some of the ancient Nine Realms time frame period when those races were there. So this is where I will end this one, and we can go on the next one.
Okay. Can ivermectin kill fungus in the body? I read no, but not for sure, or not sure what it can do. Thanks.
Okay, and this was Dugan again. So Dugan here again to say only this about this subject. Yes, it can, but if it is done too much, it can kill good bacteria in the body. Pace it and you should be good. Wink, next question.
And we are not doctors.
Yeah.
I gotta keep saying
Yeah, we gotta
that,
keep saying that.
you know?
When we get medical questions, folks, we have to disclaimer it with that.
We are not doctors, and this was just a channeling, so you have to discern.
No, okay. Even though Thorsden technically was an MD, still he would still be one of the first ones.
Well, again, I always joke with Chris. I know I'm like, we're channeling. We can't prove anything, so I feel that we'd have to kind of have these disclaimers there, especially with medical things, because we are not the experts in any of this. But if you want something like that channel, we'll give you what the channel says.
Okay, let's see. Okay. So, oh, well, that's right. You got to read the question. Okay.
It says, so if the galactic dimensionals can use the ghost spirit box, why do they still come in garbled and not crisp and clear?
Yeah, that's actually very good. I'm glad that was asked, actually. So, okay, this is a very good question. Isaac here to tell you all that though we can indeed use the ghost/spirit box to speak to you all, it would still be a galactic treaty violation to speak clearly. We have to at least appear ghost-like in both sight and sound, even if you know it is us, in order to sidestep Galactic Federation treaties and policies. Loopholes, as they are known to you all, wink, telepathy/psionic contact, and of course, the Angels Unaware rule, whereas you cannot know that we are dimensional and/or alien in order for us to walk right up to you, are the only exceptions. Once you do know who and what we are, we must leave. There are very few exceptions to this rule. Next question, dumbass. Winking the thumbs up emojis and does all this crap. He insists that the emojis be mentioned for whatever reason. So, okay. This goes into a block of questions that were aimed at Michael Jackson. So I thought this was actually pretty interesting. So
okay, so again, this one starts out because we're talking Michael Jackson. Another question for Michael: what is the backstory behind the betrayal? Was Sony responsible for your death because you wouldn't sell the entire catalog to them? Also, what was in the locked secret room at Neverland?
okay, let's see. Okay. All right, and there's going to be a magazine link I will put in the descriptor below as well. So, for one, the secret room contained my truth about them. I was not just killed for the music rights, but it contributed to the totality of what they considered betrayal. Michael Jackson, and there was a follow-up here. And also, let's see here. Oh yeah, and the article talked about him and the Beatles and all of that. I will put the link so there's context for this next answer. The Beatles were not as they seemed. Their songs played backwards explained their true thoughts and intentions. Evil. That is all that I will say for both your safety's sake. And he was fairly sad when he talked about this. Bye for now, Michael Jackson. You have to read this article that was by a website called pmamagazine.org. So I'm going to just put the entire link of this. I'm not going to read the whole URL there. So I will go on to the next one.
It says, I asked Isaac if Paul McCartney really died and was replaced.
Okay. And this was Isaac. Okay. Yes, he unfortunately was. The real man, of whom was not named Paul McCartney, died, and the character was reborn as a star and an idol to all. This is all I and the others will state for now, anyhow. Wink goodbye, Isaac. So they get iffy. They got iffy when it got into this territory. They're like, let's give them this. They weren't lying. They just didn't give every bit of that. I do remember seeing a Y-Files episode on the backwards speak of the different of different people that were recorded. They listened to it backwards. You could hear their thoughts. There was one about Paul McCartney dying, and that you can go hunt for that. I'll try to find that specific video and put that link in the descriptor. So that we saw that on, but I thought that was interesting at any rate. Okay, next one.
It says, any family members guilty of conspiring against you, morning of 9/11, when you overslept and missed your meeting, was that an exit point for you? Was that meeting a trap? Who arranged it? Were you ever taken to Cedars-Sinai in LA for programming by the CNA? Did Conrad Murray try to give you CPR either on the bed or floor? And I'm assuming, is that again aimed at Michael Jackson?
Yes, this is aimed at Michael Jackson. Yeah. Oh, a lot of these are Michael Jackson. So, and this was a little bit of a longie here, folks. Okay. Yes, friend. Janet, though she did not really understand the extent of what she did or the entire significance, but knew that she did it. Yes, the meeting was a trap and exit point, but I was saved to fight another day. Wink. The ones that arranged it were Diddy and multiple others within the Hollywood underground. Oprah amongst others. The three-letter agencies were also those who conspired against me and arranged that same meeting that I missed, hoping that I would die in the trade tower zone, as they came to call it later in years. They did program me at Cedars-Sinai, and that is how I came to escalate my behavior. And no, Conrad did not try to give me CPR at all. Angry emoji. He is a liar if he says otherwise. Chris here has had several what you call synchronicities from me this week at the time of this channeling. Wink emoji. One tonight even from the radio. He heard Beat It on the 80s radio channel, and wink, he was because it was because of this set of questions that he did not know about on the way home from watching WrestleMania with Joanna and family. This is all that I know. Well, at least what I will speak of for now anyway. Bye for now. Wink, Michael. He liked to do this wink. He likes to do this wink and his little hee thing sometimes. So yeah. The next one.
Tell me about Tommy Mottola and Quincy Jones.
Okay, this is a short one. Michael Jackson here, they both were snakes, but in the beginning seemed nice. In the end, we're actually working for the controller. They all do. And brown sad face. So that was a short one. Next one.
Knowing how much evil surrounded you, why have children?
Okay. This goes back to the session I did with the person that when it's uploaded. I will put also that link in the descriptor as well, back to that session for people that want to find this. This links back to what was discussed. No, okay, you just read that part. In the hopes they would not suffer as I did, but they were also adopted because I was castrated earlier in life. Staged children, but loved nonetheless. Michael Jackson. Okay, next.
Was the all-female spaceflight fake or not?
I felt I had to put a breaker in some of the Michael Jackson ones because although he's been incredibly helpful and he's been a very good spirit to communicate with. I highly recommend the benevolent Michael Jackson. If you don't see him as the original way he looked like in Thriller, like the black version of himself and not the other version, if you don't see that original version, it's not him. If you see the messed up one, that's a demon of some kind or something, or an alien or something. So, okay. Isaac here, yes, indeed it was. From stem to stern, as they say, from the phallic rocket to the models to the mannequins. All about this flight was faked. Philanthropists love, and I mean love, to fake this shit. Elon didn't. He just found a way through the firmament barrier. Notice that the penis ship is not burnt. This is because it never, and I mean never, hit the firmament barrier. Think the galactic barrier in the Star Trek lore. Only portals lead out of Earth's Van Allen belt, as well as the Kuiper belt. This is all for now. Mwahaha. Wink. Next question, dumbass. Ha. Isaac Wink. Okay. Wink, Isaac. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I did see, this is also one of the things he was actually referring to. And somebody else brought this up to me about the hatch being open from the inside, and they were supposed to have still been in space. That. So also they didn't really get far, supposedly didn't get far enough up to actually really be in orbit, but they still did get up
But
higher.
yeah, but in general, they say that the hatches on these types of
Yeah.
items can't be opened from the
No.
inside. They're only really supposed to be opened from the outside.
They're sealed in,
So
yeah.
when they were on the ground, it looked like somebody tried to open them to come out the door, and they kind of had to work around that little snafu.
Yeah, they had to do that because of the famous blowing of the hatch by astronaut Grissom when the capsule landed, and he got flack for letting the capsule sink. If you watch the right stuff, there was so much bad PR over that and everything. They flipped that around also for safety issues. They made it just like when he died. I believe it was Gus Grissom that died in the capsule. They made it so they could yank the thing off from the outside. So they're all open from the outside now. So next one.
I'm assuming we're back to Michael questions. Okay, when you were going through a really bad time, Donny Osmond offered to take you into his home. Why didn't you take him up on it? He said that was the last time he spoke to you.
Okay. It was because I was in a bad place, sad emoji. The mind control and depression were so strong that it was debilitating. Donnie was kind to offer, but also did not understand. The Osmonds also had their very own set of issues with the industry/profession that I just did not want to get entangled with. Michael Jackson. So, next one.
Okay. What was the real cause of your insomnia?
It, meaning the beast, was the main cause of my insomnia. Sleep patterns are very disrupted by the mind-controlled microwaves, Havana syndrome, via technology around the home, etc., and the occasional watchers. Also, guilt narratives, creepy thoughts, deep depressions, take your pick. Though these causes all are encompassed within the very same cause, psionics/mind control/Gwyn towers, and chemicals both in the environment and what I had in my system via medication, food, and drink. This is what I know. Michael Jackson. And next.
How is Tito adjusting to his new life? 3T, still one of my favorites. He sure did make some beautiful babies. I didn't know the video was filmed in the mansion from the house on the haunted hill. Have you met with Vincent Price?
I will say no, I haven't encountered Vincent Price yet, but I have seen a couple synchronicities that could possibly be that he might be one of them that talks here at some point. I've seen like House on Haunted Hill, House of Wax. His movies were excellent. So, except Dr. Fiennes, I was not really a huge fan of Dr. Fiennes, but that was a cult classic too. But okay, this is by Michael Jackson. He is adjusting all right. A bit difficult at times though. He did make beautiful babies. They are free of the scandal and the fame. It is good for them. A normal life and existence. I have not met up with Vincent yet, but I will see about him soon enough. Wink, Michael, meaning he's going to try to broker the contact at some point. Well, we'll see by the end of this episode when I do the channeling. I know there's going to be a lot of these on here, folks. So, okay.
Was Elizabeth Taylor your touchstone?
Okay, I'm going to define touchstone to put this in context, and I'm not going to go through the entire thing. Okay. A touchstone person is a metaphorical term, not a literal one. it refers to someone who serves as a standard or guide for comparison. Much like a touchstone was used to test the purity of gold, essentially a touchstone person embodies a set of values or principles that allow you to measure or evaluate something else. And I'll go right to the metaphorical one. The term metaphorical use, the term touchstone originally referred to a stone used to test the purity of gold by rubbing it against the metal and observing the streak it left. The metaphor extends to people where they are seen as a test or standard of quality. So I wanted to make sure that that was put in there. Okay. Yes, she was. I did measure myself by her on occasion. Ultimately, it was my depression mindset that I weighed and measured myself by. Michael Jackson. So, all right.
It's going around that the actor Jonathan Pryce is impersonating the Pope and that Pope Francis died years ago. What do you think?
Yeah, this was an Isaac question right here. And there's an article that goes with this. Again, I will put this in the description. Okay, Isaac here. No, he did not die years ago. He died when they said, just not how he said. He was targeted with waves, wave after wave of waves. There were so many waves that he formed his very own tide in a knot. Next question, please, dumbass. Now, the rest of this question came up again about the Pope. And this one is actually on a recent episode of GIC. It's basically the one about Pele and Lemuria. I will put that link in the descriptor, but for the site, and I will point to the title of the episode. So we'll just go. Okay, okay. Here was an addendum by, of course, Isaac left an addendum here. Okay. An addendum quickly. Jonathan Pryce, though he played him in the Two Popes, he did not, nor has he continued to play Pope Francis. Next question, dorks. That's Isaac wanted to add that addendum. And thumbs up emoji. Yep. Okay, next.
Can people that look alike or similar carry similar or same interest or career paths?
I thought this one was interesting. So yes, they can. The energy shape not only can show a soul's shape and transmutative influence throughout history of incarnated traits, can show up purely genetically from the time of the Great Seeding. This means that when the galactic humans colonized and ultimately seeded Earth, their genetic template of who they are and what positions they had on board ship or Earth at the time stuck here in the form of not only Akashic memories, but the form of energy frequencies that have echoed through the cosmos since time immemorial. Genetics from current galactics and galactic experiments, along with ancient panspermia, have resulted in the cases of everyone looking alike, racist joking aside, haha, wink, Isaac. So, okay. Oh yeah, the soul's energy shape. What happens, and I've said this on Phantom Gigabytes Ghost Bites as well, where I was on the Poltercast number 3, but I'll repeat some of this as well. When people incarnate, they take on the same energy shape, and that's also why some of them bounce on the same genetic lines. If a certain consciousness has a certain shape in the energetics, they will come into this existence, into that shape. It's no different than a dimensional being passing from one reality set of physics to our 3D set of physics. Just like I've made the example of Crichton and Farscape and the ancient being he encountered, crossing from one set of physics to our set of physics. He looked like a Muppet, Jim Henson's company Muppet, and then he shapeshifted into Crichton's father's appearance. He said he didn't look like the other thing before, but he transmutated from one physics to another. Now, when in regards to a soul consciousness, this is also why we look like or pets look like us, because they're taking on stuff from us and they start to take on that energy shape or that form. Now, with a possession or like if somebody's possessed by something, you'll often see that their face may look different, that you don't feel they're the same, of course, because they're possessed. They're not the same person at that point. Or if they've been replaced, you see the replacement. If somebody's been replaced by the three-letter agencies or something. You're seeing not only energy shape of a chemical, you're seeing the being or the soul or consciousness, because there's a difference between soul or consciousness that is actually there. Creatures like Charles Manson and Charles Starkweather would have a demonic consciousness and have less light or hardly any light there. Then you have a soul. Do you see the difference there? And connections more to benevolent source, creator, and more blockage from thereof to none. So this is how I've seen things with the energy shape of a consciousness. So we're actually at the end of this particular script here. So at the galactic contribution. So I told Michael Jackson that I would next time I encountered him that he could be the channel for this. And this was actually today at the time of this recording. Earlier in the day, I had encountered him because I answered a couple more questions that had to do with him. And he's actually a complete pleasure to channel and to do these with, because he's very direct, answers everything. The only things he said that he's omitted is that, and Gene Hackman and Val Kilmer did the same thing, where they didn't want certain targeting to hit us, because there is a lot of name dropping involved. And we normally don't do name dropping, but it would look kind of retarded if we didn't say something, so we have to, say something about this. So, okay. Michael, are you here, or do we have to have Isaac? Benevolent Michael Jackson. Oh, yes. Okay. Yep. And you can tell he's spirit, but he's showing himself as he looked in the time of Thriller, in that time frame. All right. And there'll be more of his questions that pop up in the next Q&A script. I've already worked on 2 other scripts from the time of this recording. So, hey, Michael. It is an honor and a pleasure to do this again, because of the fact that I and yourselves are very similar in not only our interests, but in our paths. He even did a question about me and a music video where I shot a bunch of people with a camera. I was actually identifying, or trying to identify, who were the culprits in Hollywood at the time. This is when he also saw a video of me saying that people feared me. Good. It was all not for nothing then. It was actually Jim Carrey that was actually helping me out with that particular interview. Somebody was interviewing him talking about me, and he wasn't wrong. So there are those that do have revelations outside of the inner circles and talk about the inner circles. But as your Chadwick Boseman said that time, anything public is narrative. I know the hesitancy to go into this territory because you don't know how many layers there are. But as Reagan told them, and I've been in contact with him too on the other side, it was quite pleasant to speak to. Said basically the KISS method: keep it simple, stupid, and Occam's razor, the simplest explanation, is usually the right one. They wanted to keep their underground. I didn't necessarily want them to. Simple. And there was also mind control. There was also cultists and all this. There were several in that video that were not involved in this. Carl Weathers being one of them. He was in that video. And that's talked about in another script. But I will leave it at that. So, questions?
So I think I would love to give people again perspective because you really have been interested in having these questions and these conversations. Not that others aren't, but it seems to be
They're kind of not squeamish, but they're not used to this type of communication.
right, not used to it. But I think for you, there seems to be like a true purpose why you want to come back and why you want to do this. So I really was hoping maybe that you could talk a little bit more about why, because people are gonna, it sounds like you're gonna come in quite a bit
Yes.
more.
Yes.
So I'm curious about, you explaining your reasons of why you really want to do
This
this.
answer will shock people. I didn't get to complete what I set out to do, or at least I didn't feel I did. And so the Oversoul's taking another shot, but within the channeling arena. Or I'm technically the Oversoul showing you the facet that is myself, Michael Jackson, but I also took that persona back with me and recreated all of this within the Oversoul's totality, like your Frank Frazetta did. And your Jeremy Britt did as well. But he was more dimensional-ish. He can speak to this at some point if he wishes, but this, I personally want to do this because I feel that the mission is not complete. I feel that other spirits will have other opinions of this. They feel your mission's done when you go back to spirit, and technically you're already there. For people listening, you just are, it's kind of like a little bit of a yo-yo type of effect. So from a human perspective, you'd be walking through a door, transitioning, going, not necessarily through a tunnel, that's a soul trap, but going from one room to the next. And you're not necessarily reabsorbed, you are the whole then. Like you always say in the law of one, you are the whole. So with this, the oversoul feels, no, the totality of the consciousness or the soul feels is necessary to keep going with the mission. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to have undue targeting on anyone or blowback on anyone. Doing things in little nuggets like this accomplishes the goal in more ways than you know. Accomplishes what I originally set out to do. Here, I have no mind control. I'm spirit. But, like with any spirit self, you need the human component to pull it off. You need the human, just like what he says. You have a helicopter pilot and you have the soldier on the ground going room to room in a house or an apartment building. The pilot can't always see all of this. You need the avatar. You need the human component. Like Gene Roddenberry wrote this in the Andromeda, where the AI consciousness needed the holographic component. He did in threes. Needed the go-between, kind of like a oversoul being the main one, like an electrical plant, he says, then the substation, then the house. That's how Roddenberry saw it, in threes, not just twos. In some cases, it's threes. But then it's needed the Rami, the human component, or the avatar. I do not have this. You see, maybe in other realities, but here, this is the one I'm concerned with, that something was not finished. So, with that said, I wanted to come in, and my voice, being said through channel, will lend my breath and my voice to the airwaves once again. I'm not saying sing, I'm not saying record in that way. There were some things that I wanted to do that I just plain did not get to. And I figured this was a second chance at this. You guys are the most accurate channelers out there. I'm not saying this to bloat your egos. That's the last thing that I would do. There are others out there that have spoken to me, but it wasn't at the same length, and it wasn't the same type. They talked to me like he did at first in the original session, but not like this. I literally get to speak again. This actually means the world, or means the galaxy and the universe, or the multiverse to me, that I can accomplish this. So, this may seem strange to those that are listening to this, but to actually have a voice in that way again, not just from my past where I left nuggets of truth for people to see. I can actually say things directly to you. And this, but I have to pace it. So that's just little by little. And I do apologize if there has been any form of blowback on you because of this. But did I have a cohesive agenda along with yourselves? You say a true benevolence and no conflicting agendas. I honor this. I honor this by pacing. If I just wanted to go blah and leave, that would be conflicting with your guys's home life, your work life, and with your professional life. So I did not wish that blowback upon you.
Well, no, of course, I thank you. And I can say this for Chris. I mean, he's worked hard at what he does to try and bring through as good a truth as he can. We certainly have a history of blowing it at times. And so, believe me, we haven't forgotten that. So,
and this is seen, and this is kind of been weighed and measured, so to speak, not in the Egyptian sort of way with the heart and a feather sort of thing, not worthy, unworthy, but sort of, meaning that you are sticking to your guns. You are authentic, and you are, how can I put it, correcting errors of the past. Other channelers don't. They either go crazy off the handle and go, oh my God, what'd I do? Or they just continue to lie because it's capitalistically sound. You do neither of these things. None of these things.
Well, thank you. We do try to do our best, and I can honestly say, continue to try and do our best. And so again, as we tell everyone there, you also must discern. It doesn't matter who is speaking. It doesn't matter if it's Chris channeling. It doesn't matter if it's another person. You work on your discernment skills and what you feel is correct. And as we're saying, be willing to change your thoughts if you feel new information has come through and you just want to change your mind with new information. That's perfectly fine. So I am curious, it would be a very logical question because, again, of some of the questions that were asked today, to get your perspective, because everyone, although we keep saying it's narrative if it's out there, there is a human desire to say that we've got to be getting to some sort of truth.
Yes, there are so many layers, though, so many. And from Chadwick Boseman's perspective, anything public would have been narrative. And of course, he wasn't wrong.
Right.
But there are bleed-throughs of truth. This is why I tried so hard to deliver that, even in my mind-controlled, debilitated, depressive states.
So again, some of the realness about what's going on, the ones that are imprisoned, talking about, blackmailing people and all of these things, that really was and has been a part of multiple processes, not just in the Hollywood area, in the political region and other areas. It's a tried and true way that has affected humanity since humanity's been humanity.
Yes.
So, I mean, I just put that out there again. I wish I could say it was something new that occurred, but it's been used as a strategy over and over and over and over again. Meaning that there have been plenty of times in history where people thought it was licked. It was done with. It was whatever.
They've done it multiple times in history.
Right. And it always has gotten recreated somehow. So,
and they're doing it again. Ooh.
So I guess that's my point to this conversation, because when you get tired and you get tired of seeing this, you just want it, let's just use the word fixed, done, over with, can never happen again. But what I'm trying to say is that it is, if you always have to watch it. You always have to look for signs of things going wrong, because it's been a tried and true way for thousands of years. And so
if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's how they see things too.
Right. So I wanted to, for you to kind of talk about that, to give people from your perspective, an understanding of how important it is to constantly surveil this stuff. Be glad for the victories that you're there. Be glad from the ones that are freed of things, but there is a constant surveillance needed. You can't just let your hair down and think it's all over with.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not trying to be, you said Debbie Downer, I'm not trying to be negative and or spook people, but I am authentic in this way. And I can say with absolute certainty that this is not going to go away until you make it. And you know the phrase, God only helps those who help themselves. And you also saw in that recording of the yesterday where the lady was also saying, God can't do this without you taking that first step, and you cannot, you can't just expect him to do it because you are that living avatar of the oversoul within this reality, and you are here to do these things. Yes, if there's overage, yes, that will be corrected unless that is the path of that particular avatar. Just like you saw in Everything Everywhere All at Once when she still had problems at the end of the movie because that particular audited avatar was in the particular length and time length that that particular avatar was supposed to be. I will not get into those physics. You know about this already. But in your current reality or timeline sets, you have one with a bunch of hairs coming off it. In this reality, the whole thing with Hollywood, you're hearing all of these things of things coming out and people, either being arrested like Bill Cosby or dying like Hugh Hefner, and there's controversy there, and that's also being audited too. It doesn't mean that that the cabal fully will go away. They're not just going to fade due to white hats in the night. A black hat versus white hat. Are those things, some of those things happening in parts of the world? Yes, there is no alliance. You are that alliance. You are the ones that must see these things. And you cannot fall for narratives. Things you're seeing in the news currently, I don't give a crap what color you basically go by or believe. Red or blue, you are looking at a performance. I could have performed a better performance than that. You are looking, he said basically a theater puppets. Dear Seymour called it a theater puppets and for his people. Love it. And he went even further to say the Trump and Biden were the essence of comedy, tragedy, order, and chaos. Allegorical means like in the old Greek theater and everything. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant analogy. Because you are watching performances, you are watching some ad lib with some of the figures, and I will not name anybody else unless you wish it, that on the TV where you saw them kind of slumping, kind of depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is not what they thought it would be, but yet they have then, that individual has now been incorporated into what he and his friend here that summoned my presence actually said it was. Those that are in that performance, it's just like you saw in the show, The Boys, the young girl going in to be the savior superhero like in the Justice League, and they're all talking about optics. That's how it is. You go in there to do something, behind the scenes, they're all talking about optics. They're talking about, the corporations are talking about optics, like in the show, in politics, are talking about optics in the background. How do we make this look this way so we see there is some accomplishment? We'll leave some controversy, like your prisoners being taken to El Salvador and that one that wants to come back kind of thing, or all this. You see the tale that's being spun? This is Hollywood at work. This is the narratives at work. Like what he saw, the headline creators or the tagline creators or the ones that created the different he saw this years ago. He saw this building in like Manhattan where they were creating all these newspaper headlines. Okay, what are we going to say this guy does today? He was seeing only one building of many, and that one's been defunct. And Hollywood's about ready to be defunct, but there are places all over that they write these narratives. You are seeing a performance. No matter what you're looking at, you must remember this. Yes, there are things outside of this on local levels, but they get incorporated into this because they're picking a side. Yes, may that one narrative work over another one at a given time. Absolutely. Would a movie that you are watching please you at any given time, or a musical performance like one of mine or somebody else's, please you at any given time. Yes, whatever you're in the mood for. What were you in the mood for this time? Clean up. What were some other people in the mood for? Playing the role of the ignorance. And others actually were because of your dumbing or cyanic dampening, chemical intrusions, all the things I spoke about, the mind control, all of it, that's still active. Have you seen any of these things becoming lesser? Really, no. It is because your expectation that you are putting on it is that things are becoming lesser. There is a white hat coming to the rescue, etc., etc. And are some things improving? Yes. I will say absolutely yes to this. But the proper term in this area is shifting. Would the soul of say Trump or say Biden or any of them, were they playing their roles? Yes. Is there good being done right now by the current narrative? Yes. Is there immense good being done? Almost. You will start to see in the coming years what this looks like. I will not give any foreboding future advice or soothsaying or fortune telling. I'm not into that. But I can give you a little bit of a taste of this, what the timelines favor. Timelines favor change no matter what is going on. Yes, does truth have to come out? You have to make it come out. People always think, oh, this is going to be an automatic because these energy changes dictate it so. Really? Who's performing these energetic changes? Is there a universal law that says this has to happen? Laws of nature, perhaps, but no, you are the very God that makes these universal laws. You have to write them. If you want these laws for the totality of the planet, or at least the United States for the moment, you have to make them. You cannot just expect this to come about. You must forge this path. Yes, people think they're doing it by voting somebody in. And yes, are they lending energies to that change that they wish to see or wish to become? They are the change of where they wish to see or become. Yes. Gandhi wasn't all he's cracked up to be, but I'm stating this. But eventually it will come to pass that people will have to try a little bit more and focus a little bit harder. There is work to be done. Again, why I'm speaking now.
So I've always said that you do have to spend some time daydreaming in what you want to come and be a part of your
Yes.
experience. And those collective energies, if everyone can really work on it, pave a way for the people to then be put in the position to actually work those collective energies. I've always said that, but I guess I'm trying to make sure that what I said, that there's something to it and you don't disagree.
I do not disagree at all with that. You must daydream this into being, and you must create this timeline space you wish to be in. Sometimes it's best not to meet your heroes because, like you said, you guys said years ago, because they often disappoint you because you have expectation of what heroes and heroism looks like. Don't have expectations. It's not like in the old Greek myths where you had the gods, demigods, and heroes. The heroes were the ones that came in to rebalance everything and to show people the way. If you want to be a hero, you be one. Don't wait for one. I know the people have heard this before, and the word hero is a cliche term, but there are real ones out there. People have attributed that to me, or they called me a demon in disguise. I suppose I was a little of both in life, but the real ones don't apply them labels to themselves. If you see anybody applying that label to themselves, run the other direction, because that's going to be your demon lord right there. But just know that if you want these things occurring, you have to create that world. You cannot just elect it into being, even though you think you're co-creating that. You are to an extent, but you have to act on this, not against each other. Go back to music, go back to art, go back to create a new Renaissance period that the government would not approve of, that Hollywood would not approve of. Create your own content online. Learn how to operate these things. Create, write sonnets, songs, poems. Do these things. Do these things. Because these things are extremely powerful. You've heard the pen is mightier than the sword, but sometimes the sword is what's needed. And the sword in this case is this, and sometimes this, but I'm not saying revolution. I'm just saying Renaissance period. Create that. Do not wait for galactics to do it. In fact, they're waiting on you to do it in some instances. So, yes, you want Star Trek world. Make it.
Well, thank you. And this kind of leads a little bit into, again, Chris and I are going to be doing what we refer to as the 100-year disclosure when we do our talk. But one of the points I think, that we can kind of state now, because of, again, you're saying it's all an act. And we would agree with you, because when that agreement was made,
yes,
and of everything, then the people here had to sit down and say, well, how are we going to meet those expectations, and what are we willing to do and what are we not? And they basically started writing the script of how this was all going to unfold at, back in the day,
yes,
to reflect what's coming up, now here in the near future. And so again, I think hopefully people will get it when we have that conversation, that this is well planned out in a multiple generational sense.
Yeah, from finances to aliens, to making it look as aliens were causing other things, to COVID-19. Think about even your disclosures as early, even as close back as 2009, 2011, all of those years. You saw in your, and even later on in 16, in your Captain America First Avenger movie, you saw COVID being seen in there. You saw in Doctor Strange the COVID molecule in there. This shows you a timeline of how far back they're trying to get people to visually being acceptant of these things. But then people tend not to notice these things unless they look backwards. You have to be in the moment and notice things in the moment to truly make this work. If you don't want the 100 years disclosure to what they are trying to do, you must not for one, see UFOs as in awe or afraid. You must look into very heavily who's really doing it. The experts out there are usually shills, are usually Hollywood. You can say, I can say this with certainty, that these are some of these are performances, and so the greatest lie ever told is that everything's all alien. Yes, there are dark evil aliens out there, no question. But there are also dark evil humans too, and I met plenty of them. Those with blackened souls or hearts of stone, just consciousnesses that are devoid of feeling, but yet they show feeling on camera. I've seen all of this. I've seen all these types of performances, the Star Trekky type performances of what they think of the world should look like, the shape of the world or the shape of the universe, like what Roddenberry said in Andromeda. The Dylan Hunt character said this. Depends on the shape of the universe. When Tyr was asking him to return the body of Drago 70, he goes, depends on the shape of the universe, meaning the Commonwealth being rebuilt. In this case, the true Commonwealth would be creating a Renaissance period. Then you will start to see some of your alien bros out there from out there. You will start to see what is really around you. Look into all these narratives. Don't just go take things at face value. Just recognize a lot of what you're seeing as a performance. Look and dig deeper. If you hear phrases repeated over and over again, it's not just them trying to get it into your head, with which they are. They're attempting to mold an idea in your head. Don't let them do this. You form your own ideas. It doesn't even matter if you believe in aliens in this instance. It matters that they are trying to win one over on you. And yes, if you're skeptical, of course, yes, be that. If you're a believer, be that. But just know, both sides, if you mean averaged everyone, both sides of the fence, skeptical or believer, are essentially saying the same thing. Something is fucked up. So go with that base and go with that. You want that fucked upness corrected.
Right. So in general, I am curious then, saying what you've saying
Mhm.
about how everything is performance, somewhat controlled or whatever. What do you think about music now? And, is there a particular type of music these days that you would like or dislike?
Well, I stuck to, of course, my style. I'd have to be a little biased, but yes, there are hidden messages in stuff, especially from Hollywood. But if you don't want hidden crap in it, look to the indie creators. Look to the ones doing things from their grandmother's basement, so to speak. Look to those. You won't find any of that garbage. The stuff that Hollywood pumps out, yes, there are good songs out there. I will not lie. I was part of that community. My essence is still there. They know I'm haunting from the shadows there. They can feel me, but they can't do anything about it. I have tried to influence songs to bring out more of some of these messages, not in a 100-year disclosure type of way, but in a true heartfelt sort of way. So there is good there. There is good there, just like there's good in some of these agencies, and there's good in some of there's good ETs, and there's good interdimensionals, like your introverts, all of these things, and good military even. But there's also bad. There's a yin yang. Music nowadays, there's some crap and there's some good. Not all artists recognize the stuff in the background, but if they attempt to gain any real power or standing, actor or musician alike, they're automatically, and politician too, they're automatically inducted past a certain tier, inducted into the cultist garbage. There are virtually no exceptions to this rule. If they've gotten big, if you see them depressed, like what I was, you're seeing a conscience. If you see them, uh, not necessarily just proud of an accomplishment, that's one thing. But if you see them really becoming big real quickly, that's a bad thing. There are a few exceptions. Like I said, there are some that walk away or they've gotten kicked out of a project. Uh, take your Henry Cavills or your some of your other musicians and actors that have walked away from other projects. They're not part of that inner circle, like your Michael Biehns or any of those types that were once part of this. They wouldn't play the game and they had to back off, like your James Cameron said about Michael Biehn. It's the same thing. You want to find those that were the outliers. Those are the ones that are basically looking towards your direction, like Henry Cavill in the gaming community. Perfect. Things of that nature. Voiceovers like Michael Biehn and some others do. And some of your Trek actors are okay, and then there's some that aren't. Then I won't name names further. I know you don't like this, but with this, just know the music that I am attempting to help them write will cause a schism. Not a war, a schism. And what I mean by schism is putting a thread of genuinity and goodness back into it. Putting a thread, a doubt, a seed of doubt, planting a seed of doubt. Planting a tree where there was just barren earth. The music that exists today does not always compare because some of the things from further back had less tainted nature to it. I'm not saying it's all bad. Like it was said in did the world end in 1999? You were talking about that in a previous episode. Yeah, where things got conglomerated and the energy shifted from the 80s all the way over into 90s, and now where it got really bad because that psionic dampening got turned up. Your New Age community or your government, CIA, three-letter agencies created the premise that there was this harmonic convergence taking place and all of that. You've talked about this. Think of that in the music, but the other way around. Get the music programming out of there, the hypnotic junk out of there. You will start to see genuinity in there. Even if one seed was planted, like what you were saying with the Catholic Church, with Father Mort, they're planting a seed of genuinity in there and transforming it from the inside out. Talk about Renaissance, right in the heart of Italy. This is what I'm doing with California.
So with this renaissance, it kind of reminds me of something we've said from the beginning. We say deny the known and manifest differently.
Mhm.
So everyone really has to take a good look at everything that is around them, but you can be your genuine, authentic self where you are. And when you really start to know who you are and be who you are, then that provides you kind of with the energy and the inspiration to be able to, again, manifest this world in a different way than the way it's been going. And I just don't think people really understand yet how their own energies have been used to create something else.
Yes.
And you've got to learn how to get out of that to start creating really what you want. And that sounds like the renaissance that, we need to occur. And so.
Yes, and also you guys were watching some of the news earlier, like say the one judge trying to stop Trump with that, trying to bring him back in that gang member back in the United States from El Salvador. To take that performance, for instance, think of for a minute. He often asks the question, why, when there is so much TV out there, that the court of public opinion and optics would dictate that you would not be that voice of stupidity amongst the crowd of people backing what they see as a demigod. Not a demigod, that's the wrong choice of words, just a performance. In this, think about this. Why would there be this other opposing voice? Because in any performance, you have a protagonist, an antagonist, and a beginning, a middle, and an end. When you are telling a story, you have a villain, you have a hero, and you have all the public and background in there. You have an establishing shot, you have someone in the background around, say, always in a scene where there's a trial, there's always someone in the background says, hang him, kill him. You have one of them, and you have somebody always that's stupid in the background going, we can't go that way, we have to do this. He always says, why is this like that? Somebody like that judge, this stupid, and people focus on going, yeah, why are you this stupid? Because it is a performance. They are told to do this. This is why it's coming out of California. Where do you think it's coming out of? Where they create performances. This people have to realize not every person is an actor in this. I cannot go that route, nor am I going to say that. Some don't know that they're integrated in this. It's also the ones that get sucked into the process that become part of the background. Like you see in a movie, they say background, and there's like all these people, but they don't. If not all those people know they're in a scene, like with your Peckinpahs and your John Wayne movies and all these other things that were out there. And other movies that where there's large crowds. Not all of them were told it was a movie. They just sometimes the director and the film, the camera person, they'd sometimes take their chances with some of the scenes. Some they were labeled saying they're filming in some places, but when you have large amounts of people that it would fit the scene anyway, sometimes those people don't know they're part of a movie. And in some cases they do. But not all everybody cares about that. Of course, they get their permissions later on, but in some cases anyway. But what I'm trying to say is, all those that are taking one side or the other in politics, background. Yes, we told you we're filming. We have signs up, but do you look? Do you read? Do you read the signs at all? Do you see that what the world that goes on around you, or you just pay attention to what you call the idiot box? Yes, I was on the idiot box quite often, and I enjoyed using the idiot box because if it's used for the good purposes, it's a wonderful tool. Right now, it lacks luster, and right now, it is being used as a weapon, not a tool.
Well, thank you. Any last thoughts before we close off this Q&A?
No, I believe I've said what I'm going to say, at least tonight. I can honestly say, I promise I will be back and continue on with this. I also can say that I will try to dig up a few others that dust off some of the dry, dusty bones that I come across that actually are valid to your guys' discussions. That also wish to speak in this area, in this vernacular. So I thank you for having me on once again. And just know and remember, to sum it up, performance, don't get sucked in, create your own performances. And if you want to comment, of course, on the performances that are out there, wonderful. If you want to see something bad enough out there, make it. And if you don't think that you're good enough to do it, yes, you are. And if you don't, and know that those that were in that industry didn't know what they were going to get into, neither did I in the beginning. I did after a little bit. Of course, I went through a majorly rough period. I plead with anyone trying to go into this, don't jump the gun, especially with Hollywood. So if you want to live a dream, become it. Do it. Just do it. And you don't necessarily need the connections. I would actually reconsider at best. So I would keep going on. So I will leave you in peace. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that was interesting. Yeah, he's a genuine soul. So yeah, and I know he wanted me to reiterate this. If you're not seeing the real Michael Jackson, I mean the Thriller era one. And the other one, that other one, the other one that was more the in pain version of him, the suffering version of him. He's not suffering anymore. And also he was not replaced by aliens too. They wanted me to reiterate that at some point. The Robot Chicken episode where you saw him get replaced and the real one returning, and then the other one, it was the alien. They called him Jacko the alien or something like that in it. That was a cover story. Though the replacement thing was the mind control that was being said. He was not replaced with an alien consciousness. He was not inborn or anything like that. He was him. He was just the mind controlled him, and that's essentially what that was saying. Not an alien. And not a galactic of any kind of spirit. So even though there are others that were and are. So I just want to clarify that. So I thought that was quite the interesting show, actually. He would go on for hours if you let him. So oh, that wasn't nice. That was a little annoying. Okay. But he would go on for a while if you let him, and he's a very easy channel. Just for anybody that wants to speak to him, say the true, benevolent Michael Jackson with no conflicting agendas, and always say true benevolent there, and open the circle to him, and you will get him. He will be more than happy to talk to you. Just know there is some slight blowback. I felt it here in my chest a second ago from that. Not from him. It's from people that don't like him or don't like the fact that he has a voice. Make sure he does in other places too. So okay, I think we're at a good stopping point here. We can read the last affirmation and blessing before we close the circle out here. And this is: the future is now, written in the stars. Channeling a producer, director, writer, and creator of Star Trek, Andromeda, and Earth Final Conflict, Gene Roddenberry. And he was also an interesting channel, and I hope he does a few of these Q&As sometime. We did GICs with him. Go to the Galactic Interversial Consortium.com. Also GIC.show for the shorter URL. We have that on there as well as on my YouTube at Christopher S. Jacobs. So, do you have anything else to add, Joanne?
No, hope you guys liked it.
All right. I now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So thank you, everybody. Bye-bye now.